All right, Padres free agents who I don't think will be returning in 2025. I have my mindset on three players specifically, and this is the list on Spot Track, so you can go look that up yourself if you want to dive into it a little bit more. Let's start off at the top with Martin Perez. I don't think he's returning. I wouldn't be upset if he returned. I thought he pitched pretty solid for the Padres coming from Pittsburgh post trade deadline. But if I were him, why would I want to return to a team that didn't pitch me in the NLDS when they named me to the roster? And there were some situations where I could have pitched in that series, and the Padres didn't pitch me. As a competitor, as so I think we all do, right? All competitors, even if we're not athletes, we remember things. We have chips on our shoulders. Why would I want to return to a spot that didn't think I was good enough to get 3 outs in a series? Again, where there were certain situations where he could have probably pitched. So with Martin Perez, it's not like a money thing like Tanner Scott is, where Tanner Scott, the Padres just aren't going to be able to pay Tanner Scott what Tanner is going to get, I would assume, from a team. With Martin Perez, for me, it's more of Martin Perez saying, nah, I'll take a 1-year deal somewhere else to be a back end starter, fill innings, a vet that can help young guys, than the Padres saying no to him, if that makes sense. Ha-Seong Kim, that is another one that I don't think is going to come back. I think that it has the Giants written all over it in this situation. If you're the Padres, do you want to give Ha-Seong Kim $10+ million on like maybe a pillow contract or a multi-year deal? More because of the pillow contract scenario, if we go down that route. Why would the Padres want to do that if he's not going to be available until maybe May, because he had that labrum surgery, and he may not be that same guy that he was in 2023. Shoot, in 2024, he took a step back. I was hoping that he was going to keep taking those steps forward, but that didn't happen. So that would be a risk that the Padres would be taking. Is it better to put their money elsewhere? Is it better to bring in another veteran shortstop or a veteran middle infielder? If they want to have Crony still be at first, then they want to Rise at DH, or a Rise ends up not being on the team. You know, he's projected to make what, 13+ mil maybe in arbitration this next year before free agency. So that's a question there. They obviously could stick Xander Bogaerts at shortstop and just have him be back there. And maybe this was the situation. It probably was the situation that the Padres are in. But they said, hey, Xander, we think that it's best that you're not the shortstop anymore. Like they said that going into last season. Now they're going to say, hey, Xander, we think you are the best to be the shortstop, and we think you should be the shortstop. Kim's not there, so I can understand that. And they could have Bogaerts play short. They could have Crony play second, which I like Crony at second. They could have Arizgo play first. They could add a first baseman. There are first baseman free agents out there. I don't think Christian Walker, he's going to get paid. Pete Alonso's going to get paid, but there's someone like Anthony Rizzo. I know he's a vet, and there's been injuries there, and he's not, 2016 Anthony Rizzo, but he's still a vet. There are options that they could go get, and I'll probably go into more as we get more into this offseason here. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do. They could bring back Donovan Solano, and he's on this list. I'm not going to commit one way or the other with him on if I think he returns or not. I think he's probably going to be a late offseason add, unless there's a team like the Angels. They've been making a bunch of moves. They just locked down Yusei Kikuchi on that 3-year, $60+ million deal. So good for him. Maybe there's a team there that's like, hey, we want to sign Solano as a nice vet. Let's get him in on a 1-year deal, give him more money than other teams are willing, and Solano doesn't want to wait, and he's like, yeah, I'll go sign with you. But if it's going to be later in the offseason, I think the Padres could bring back Donovan Solano. So I'm not going to close that door yet. But yeah, with Ha-Seong Kim, to me, and this is just like getting away from the Padres situation, more just about Kim. He hired Scott Boras. To me, when I see that, I'm not thinking that he's going to sign a pillow contract to just return to the Padres. To me, that's like, okay, even when he's hurt, he's trying to go out and try to go get a multi-year deal from someone, a team that believes in him, and they're okay with signing him to that multi-year deal, even when he is not healthy at the moment. And the Giants are a team that has money to spend. There's obviously the relationship that Ha-Seong Kim has with Bob Melvin, the familiarity there, and obviously familiarity with Jung-Hoo Lee, who is in center field. The Giants could use more infield help, obviously. I see that being a fit there. Remember the Giants, they had Carlos Correa and then the whole physical thing. Soto's not going there. Arson Judge, that didn't happen. We could go years back. Bryce Harper, that didn't happen. Giancarlo Stanton, that didn't happen. I mean, they have money to spend is my point. And so I think Kim definitely could fit there. I would be surprised if he doesn't sign with another team. More, I'd be surprised if he doesn't sign with the Giants. So I think Kim is gone. Tanner Scott, that's another name. I don't even think we have to spend too long on him just because of the money. He may not get 5 years, 95 like Josh Hader got, but he could get 3 years at that same AAV, or he could get 5 years and closer to the 95, but at a lower AAV than, what is that? Whatever AAV that is, almost $20 million a year. Could. I mean, Tanner Scott had a really great year this past season. I think all teams were watching him in the postseason and how he was making Shohei Ohtani, who's very hard, I would imagine, and just from the games that I've watched, very hard to make uncomfortable at the plate. And Shohei Ohtani looked uncomfortable at the plate and not right when Tanner Scott was on the mound. So, yeah, there are going to be teams that are going to want that as their closer or a high leverage reliever. And the Padres, with their situation, the first luxury tax number, I believe, is 241 this year. Fangraphs projects them already above that. So, they've already committed money to Robert Suarez. I think there's $26 million left on his deal. They already have a solid back end as well. Remember, there's Jason Adams still, Jeremiah Estrada, Adrian Morejon. We'll see if he stays in the bullpen or do they give him the opportunity to start games. That's a strong back end. And if there's anyone I'm going to trust to build a bullpen with not a lot of money, it's AJ Preller. Like, he has the track record of doing that. I fully trust AJ with constructing a bullpen. So Tanner Scott, of course, I'd love to have him, but financially, he's going to be out of the Padres' range, in my opinion. We can go down this list. I think Higgy will come back. I think Profar comes back. Then there's some guys where I'm like, maybe they come back, but Nick Ahmed, I could see him coming back if they want him to be a minor league deal guy. I'm not going to say a major league guy, maybe at the start of the year, because if they want a short term, let's say they bring Kim back. Again, I don't see that happening, but let's say they bring him back and they want a short term solution. Maybe it's just Tyler Wade at shortstop or Tyler Wade somewhere. Although if you have Bogey at short, I don't think you're putting Tyler Wade at second base every day. I think you just put Crony at second base, and then you have Perez if he's still here at first, or maybe it's someone else that you bring in. I think Paul Goldschmidt's a free agent. Could be wrong on that, but I think he's a free agent. I know Arenado's not. That would have to be a trade. Although the Padres, obviously, we have Manny. They're not trading for Arenado. I was just Goldie and Arenado. Those two are connected, obviously. So Nick Ahmed, maybe Elias Diaz, maybe as a third catcher. Donovan Solano, again, I'm not going to commit either way. I would love to have him back. I was totally fine with having Solano there as an option at first, DH, bench bat, okay. And then Luis Patino was non-tendered. Logan Gillespie was non-tenured. Bryce Johnson was non-tenured. Did I just say tenured? Sorry. Not non-tenured. Non-tendered. Sorry. Mason McCoy was non-tendered. There we go. So those guys, I mean, they could bring Patino back. They could bring Bryce Johnson back. They could bring any of those guys back. CJ Edwards. But to me, that would be more of a not talked about thing. Like, oh, okay, minor league deal, whatever. You see it in the Padres transactions page and you just move on. That's not obviously like a significant, oh, they're not going to return. Oh, my goodness. Patino is still interesting to me, but we just didn't see him at the big league level. Obviously, he had the injury. I believe it was Tommy John surgery. Did he have Tommy John again? Luis Patino. Yeah, he underwent Tommy John. So they could bring him back and hope that he can impact at some point and be an arm. What would that be? Well, I mean, if he had the surgery in maybe late 2025, it's not like it was Joe Musgrove where Joe, he isn't going to throw for another 6+ months. So they could bring Patino back. Seems like Patino likes being in the Padres organization and there's a familiarity there. He would be someone that I'd be interested in bringing back. Obviously, it would be a minor league deal. And, Bryce Johnson, there's speed there, there's defense there. But those aren't guys that I'm going to sit here and talk a ton about. To me, the three guys, again, that I, was focusing in on here today, Kim, Scott, Martin Perez, I'd be surprised if Profar goes somewhere else. If he goes somewhere else, it's going to be because a team gives him a Benintendi. Remember Benintendi? He signed that deal with the White Sox, and there wasn't going to be another team that was going to give him, 5 years, $75 million? If someone does that for Profar, whether it be the Angels or some other team we're not thinking about, then okay. But if it's not, I could still see the Padres giving him a 3-year, maybe even a 4-year deal to lower the AAV, and then he comes back. He just fits here with the Padres. And sure, is this a great opportunity for him to cash in after having a great, a career season? Okay. But if he's back with the Padres, I mean, they could sell him on this. You're going to be on a contending team. We saw how it didn't work out when he went to the Rockies after being with the Padres. Does he want to risk that again by going for a team that gives him a lot of money? Now, it's financial security, family, all that. It's not like I'm going to be mad if Profar does that. I'm just saying, if the money is somewhat close, does he decide to go with more money, or does he go back to the Padres where he knows that he fits and the city loves him?